Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Right off the bat on the old show today, the Lamborghini Aventador Super Veloce. Now we've talked about this machine. In fact, the last time, in the back part of April, when we released official pricing on this machine, coming in at just under 330,000 euros, or just under 500,000 US dollars. Only 600 units were going to be built for the world, and only 200 of those units was going to be coming to North America. Well, according to the folks over at TopSpeed.com and DigitalTrends.com, this vehicle sold out. None are left if all 600 units are accounted for. So if you had a hankering for one, guess what? It is way too late. Next up on the list, we showed off this little picture. I think it was last year sometime. Little rumors that TVR was on its way back. Well, the day of the taping of this particular program, they released some pretty fantastic numbers. Not for sure where their money is going to be coming from, but they're spending it and spending it well. They've already made the announcement that in the next 10 years, 4 brand new TVR models will be hitting the market. And they release who's going to be the outsourced group that's going to build the power plants for these machines. Not to mention who's going to design this. Let's start off with the power plants. This group has built World Rally engines, Formula One engines, and some special homologation cars, especially for Ford, over the past several years, or I guess it's been several years ago. It's the folks over at Cosworth. It's very rare these days that you can get a full-on race engine group that's going to be building road car engines, so this is going to be a pretty neat piece of kit when it comes out. Now let's get to the design group. Yes, this is very intriguing. The head of this is going to be one Gordon Murray. You remember who that is, don't you? Of course you do. It's the fellow who designed the McLaren F1 for the longest time, the fastest road-going machine on the planet. So this is going to be a pretty impressive little lineup. They're talking about the starting prices coming in at just a touch under the equivalency of 50,000 US dollars, and hopefully they'll build these vehicles in such a way where they can go on sale in the US market. Cannot wait for the return of the folks over at TVR. Next up on the list, we've talked long and hard about the brand new Ford Mustang called the GT350, the highest horsepower machine in their lineup as of now. Now, we talked about leaked pricing that came out not too long ago, but officially Ford has come out with the power numbers for that 5.2 liter flat plane crank, normally aspirated V8. And I have to say that I was a little on the disappointed side, especially after the folks, or at least one of the engineers, released some kind of candid information saying the vehicle was going to be making well over 100 brake horsepower per liter, which got me to predict that this thing was going to be making 600, 650 brake horsepower. But what a world we live in, when I can be disappointed at just a touch over 500 brake horsepower. Yes, it's very hilarious. This vehicle makes 526 brake horsepower and 429 pounds-feet of torque. Now, that torque is a flat torque curve that happens throughout the rev range, which means this thing's got a lot of snap to it, but you won't be able to believe what kind of RPMs this thing can achieve. And it's achieved mainly because of some of the lightweight materials and the fact that all internal combustion engines are basically one great big air pump. But this thing can exhale and inhale with ease. And because of that, and because of the way the Ford Group has designed it, that 429 pounds-feet of torque comes in at 4,759 RPMs. That's quite high. Not to mention the power, the horsepower numbers, 526 brake horsepower comes in at 7,500 RPMs. Redline is 8,250 RPMs. This little sucker is a screamer. And if you get a chance to hear this, in fact, I've got the video up on the Facebook page right now. This thing makes a noise like a Roman god of thunder, I guess you could say. Fantastic piece of kit. I cannot wait to get a shot at driving this particular machine because I think it's going to be an absolute monster. And last up on the list, an interesting little situation. One of the very, very rare, in fact, they only built between 330 and 340 of these machines, the Porsche 959. They actually raced this thing in the Paris-Dakar rally, oddly enough, and was very successful in that rally as well. This was a pretty cool piece of kit for the time. Ferrari just come out with the new F40, and Porsche thought, you know what, we can do this too, and put a 2.8 liter twin turbocharged flat six, making just a touch under 450 brake horsepower. 0 to 60 came in at just a touch over 3.5 seconds, and a top speed of just under 200 miles an hour. 6-speed manual transmission, a really trick all-wheel drive system. Like I said, there was only a handful of these built, and only 50 of them made it to the United States. And one of those 50 is going to be going up at auction in Palm Beach, Florida, in the middle part of August. There's a lot of rumors pointing about what this thing's going to be able to pull down, somewhere between 1.5 to almost 2 million US dollars. Cannot wait to see what this thing pulls down. But I have a fun little side story about the 959, and it involves a fella. Well, he's more than just a fella. He's the head and was the inventor of the Microsoft group. Many-time billionaire Bill Gates. He actually purchased one of these machines back when they first came out. Now, oddly enough, when you got one of these machines in the U.S. market, because it wasn't crash tested, it wasn't legal to drive in the United States. And Porsche would actually make you sign a waiver saying that you were just buying the machine to show off or for display purposes only. Well, old Bill Gates there, yeah, Billy decided he wasn't going to sign that waiver, which meant that this car sat in customs for well over a year. Bill thought it was a lot more fun just to talk about it at parties. Yes, I have a Porsche 959, but the U.S. government won't let me have it because I want to drive it. So it's interesting what very, very rich people, what they will do to have some sort of entertaining story to tell at parties. Apparently now Mr. Gates has possession of that machine over some time, and apparently, from what I'm hearing from some outlets, now that the car is over 25 years old, you can actually drive it legally on public roads here in the United States. I think that if I ever get to see one of these in the flesh, I may pass out, maybe. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. If you want to jump on over to the Facebook page, links down in the show notes. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time and get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they come out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.